It's my favorite part of this whole thing is the pause before anything happens.
Dramatic pause.
Well, we had a really good weekend of ball. It was a little different than the games we've been playing, and it was nice to see us get out ahead and hang on to it and work with the lead and play in that fashion. Did a really good job of taking care of the football and getting the ball. That makes the difference always, and our offense has done a really good job over the last, 6 or 8 weeks, really, however long it is, of not giving the football away. We're great at doing that, and we got to keep that going. It makes such a difference. And when we get 3 turnovers, we pretty much win. And so that was really kind of the story of the game, I think. And with like the great subplot was the game that Bobby had, and trying to figure out how Russ could be so effective with so few throws. He maximized his opportunities in a big way. So it's a good win for us, and we know we got those guys coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll have taken a lot out of this game going into that next one. There's a lot of stuff that we saw and we hopefully learned and can do better and cover them a little better and tackle them a little bit better, and we'll deal with that when the time comes. But we got a lot we'll carry over from this week.
You mentioned not turning the ball over. When you have a quarterback who can take care of the ball but still make the big plays, just how valuable of a talent?
Well, Russ has done that for a long time in his career. He's been great at it, and we've been on top of the turnovers. Whenever we're winning, we're doing it, and he's been a big part of that. And to be in such a volatile position too, but to control that so well, he's done a great job for us. He's got a great conscience about what we're trying to do and how to do it, and he's adapted over the years to suit that, and really we couldn't ask for a whole lot more. He's done a great job of that.
Anything new on DJ Fluker?
We substantiated that he's got a hamstring injury, and it's going to be a little bit, so we'll have to wait and see how he does. He's pretty sore today.
Is it a hole that, do you know the severity of it, or?
Yes. Yeah, it's basically a first-degree strain, and so we'll see how that works. That's a couple weeks usually. We'll see what happens. I don't know if he can do better than that or not. We'll see.
It went so well for you in Los Angeles when he couldn't play and Simmons came in. I'm assuming you're not going to tell me that's what's going to happen, but what options do you have?
Why would we assume that? No, it's so likely that we're okay there. Jordan, jumped in the game and did a nice job this week again, and seems to be moving in the right direction to be a really, really viable option for us. So he didn't get that much practice time. So when he does get the practice time like he did in the Rams week, he did a very good job with it. And so we're going to count on him playing and see how that goes.
Does Ethan Posick still factor into that as well, possibly, or?
Always. Yep.
What about KJ Wright? Anything new on his situation? Or?
Nothing yet. This is he had a very successful week of rehab, the procedures that he went through, and we're hoping that he'll be able to get going. He has not done a lot of running yet. He's that's not been part of the process. So this week starts the conditioning stuff back at it. I don't know how much he'll get to do this week. We'll just have to see how he feels, and I don't know that yet.
A little bit of running yesterday, though.
He did run. He did run across the field. He wasn't supposed to do that.
And we have the decision to put CJ Prosise on IR. Just kind of, I guess, what went into that, or?
He's going to get surgery, so he was done for the season.
Surgery on the
abdomen.
How's Chris doing? Chris Carson?
He came out fine in the game other than his finger, and should be okay. He should be able to play.
Well, is that a cast situation, or will he have
I
to
don't
have?
know that yet. I don't think that is it at all. No.
You guys, 4 games left, 3 quarters away, and just how do you feel, big picture, about the way this team is going?
Well, we're in a very upbeat mode about going after this end of the season. The fourth quarter is starting, and so it's time to try to finish this thing. And we kind of know what we're trying to do. We got a good feel for it, and now we got to go play good games 1 week at a time, and that the focus will come to us doing a really good job Wednesday, and starting the process again. And Wednesday will be a Thursday. No, that's not true. That's not true. Thursday
will be Wednesday.
Yeah. Thursday will be a Wednesday. And so that, we just have to just keep our head down and keep grinding and trying to stay focused on getting better and doing the things that we do and keep that going. And then we got to clean things up. We had too many penalties last week, and we had some busts that we got to get rid of on defense. And that's just the process. And keeping your head down and grinding is really what it's all about at this point. But we're upbeat, we're positive. We know that we can win every game, and we're going out to get that done.
When you did look at the defensive plays that stood out to you, what were the issues you had in some of those big plays that happened defensively yesterday that were no?
Well, there's a couple play concepts we didn't play very well in the throwing game that missed a couple tackles in open field that really weren't difficult tackles, and DBs just we had 3 big misses that caused a lot of yards, and we had a big bust on the 75-yard play that should never happen. And that's about it. That's enough. That's about 250 yards worth right there. So we can fix that.
Was Bobby's game look as good on film as it kind of looked?
Yeah, it was a totally complete game. Yeah, a complete football game in all phases. He knocked the ball out. The way I saw it, he knocked the ball out on the extra point attempt too. He just was all over the place and had a great game. I really liked the way he was rushing the passer.
Is we getting Kendricks back out there this week?
Yeah. Michael's been with us for 2 weeks, and he's ready to go. Like I told you last week, he was preparing on the Niners side of defense like he was playing a game, and he took it very seriously. And so he was very effective in a short amount of time when he played for us before, and we're anxious to get him back out there. And he's really, hungry to get out and do something, help us.
Is his conditioning at the point where he could play significantly?
Yeah, he'll be ready to go. He practiced really hard the last 2 weeks. He stayed in shape going into it. He looked great in the last 2 weeks, so we don't have any hesitation that he can play a full game.
When you look back at the last month or so, is the secondary a concern?
No, you guys are looking at 400 yards, and you think that's tells the story of what's going on. I'm not worried about that. We allowed 60 yards rushing, which is really important, bouncing back from the week before. We played good in the red zone. We stayed on top for the most part, and I'm not. I wish it wasn't 400 yards, but that's what happens when you get ahead and they can throw the ball the whole time. And that's how it goes sometimes. I'm not concerned about it. We just have to keep getting better. I'm not satisfied with what it is. That doesn't mean that, but I'm not concerned about it. We're just working, and as these guys are growing, these guys are still young together, and it's taken us a while to get rid of the miscues that happen, and not seeing things exactly the same way that like you like them to, and just limiting some of the plays that sometimes get away, and that's unfortunate, but that's kind of how we are right now. But 16 points, 3 turnovers, that's good football.
What allows Tyler and the other receivers just to be so effective with so few targets coming their way each week?
Yeah, they've been really on point. They've been available to make the big plays, and they've come through when they've had their chances. They work really hard after the normal rhythm of the play too. We continue to see good scramble efforts by the receivers and by Russ hooking up. They seem to be really connected well, with Russ. And so that we're getting really good results. We're maxing out on the attempts, and unusual that you would get so much out of 6 passes in the first half of a game. But that's playing off the running game, and we're taking advantage of that. And it's not really, how many shots we take at it. It's really what we're getting out of it, and we're really getting a lot of production. Russ to have thrown 29 touchdown passes at this point, with the numbers of attempts, it's, you kind of marvel at how could he be that on it. So, but he is, and I think it's because they're all working together. I think it's a really nice job from Shadi on down through the guys that they're really on the same page and they understand and they're executing really well.
What has Russell done from the beginning of the year to now that stands out to you? Has there been any? I know it's somewhat minimum progress that he can make as good as he's been, but is there little areas that you look at and say he's doing this better this time of year?
I think he's in better control of what's going on up front, in the running game, one, and also protection-wise. He and Justin Britt, are doing a really good job of working things out and figuring out stuff to put us in the right spots. And I think the development of the pass protection has been really obvious, and Russ has taken advantage of that. That's why he's been able to be more effective. Getting the second looks and sliding up in the pocket and hitting Tyler on the big play was a perfect example of that. Really good protection. He gets to move to give one more beat to get Tyler a chance to get behind him and deliver the throw. So I just think it's connected with what's going on up front, but his overall command of what we're trying to get done communication-wise is really helping other guys play well.
The game Puna Ford had, stepping in for Samar, just kind of.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody picked that up. She's the only one of you that got it. But Puna did a really good job. He played really well. He was sideline to sideline, and we had him at 6 tackles in the game, and that's a lot of production for the nose tackle, but it was because he was running and chasing the football so well. He's a really instinctive football player. It's not too big for him. He's played a lot of big games in college, and he jumped right in there. It was nothing for him to be out there and battling with those guys. Richburg's a good center, and the guy's played a lot and all that. He did a nice job battling with him, and so we're really encouraged about that. I would love to see that he has that much mobility and can go sideline to sideline. He missed a couple opportunities too. He missed one on a play that broke downfield. He made a great effort in pursuit and just missed the tackle in the open field. But it showed a lot of juice just getting all over the place. So we're really happy about that.
He doesn't have the most typical body type for that position. How do you
He certainly doesn't.
How do you see that? Does that work to his advantage in some ways?
Well, it does in the sense that he's got. We always talk about football, the low man wins, and so he's the low man. That starts there. He has really long arms, and he understands how to use his length to keep him clear of blockers and keep his feet clear so he can pursue. He's really quick. He's a really natural athlete. He can do a lot of stuff, and like you'd be surprised if you saw him throwing the ball around and playing catch and all that. He's a really good athlete. He was a running back in high school, and so can you imagine those little high school kids trying to tackle him? But he probably didn't look the same. But so he's he was, I think he was player of the year in his conference too, his last year there. So it's pretty hard as a nose tackle. So you can see why though. It's because of his activity, and he's done well throughout. But he really made a big impression on us this week when he had this much playing time, this much focus. You could really see him as a factor. So we're excited for him.
Are you impressed by his pursuit ability? I know in the Oakland game he got Marshawn out in the flat on one play, and then the first play of the game he's able to get outside to make a tackle too. His ability to move down the line is effective.
It really is. It's his mobility that makes him special. I mean, I know he's just got everything about him is unique, but to see his, not just the instincts, but also the ability to accelerate and to get out there, and he's very comfortable running in space. He's jumping over guys and doing all kinds of stuff to get to the football. And I wish we would have. And Clint Hurt's been saying that that he's got a lot of stuff for us, and we just finally got to really concentrated look at him, and you can tell. So we're hoping he'll help us down the stretch.
Were you sweating a lot that he was going to get drafted, or you had a pretty good sense he wouldn't?
Well, John knew his situation better. We thought he would get drafted late in the draft. Yeah, we did. And we were looking at that. That's why we were tuned into him. And one of the first calls we made was to go get him. And so, sometimes it just happens to me. People look at him; he's kind of under the radar and size-wise, and maybe they think he's an exception or whatever. We particularly like those kinds of guys, and you can see why he was touted as such a good player, but yet his numbers aren't quite there. So he plays like it, so it's all really counts.
Is Shamar going to be out long, or?
We think he'll be back this week. I'm counting on him to come back.
How about Trey Madden?
Same. We're counting on him to come back. They still have to go do it. But both of those guys are slated to come back and be practicing on Thursday, which is a Wednesday.
Did you?
Got it. That was right that time. Thanks, John.
With Jerron Reed in Alabama, he showed some pass rush, but what has changed this year that he's gotten to the quarterbacks?
He has really picked up. I think he expects to get to the quarterback more than he used to. And he wanted to develop his pass rush game, and he worked hard at it. And I think his mentality to rush the passer is just the best it's been. at Bama, they just kill that line of scrimmage, you know, and they do a great job of it, and that's what was expected of them. And he was a great run defender, and he came in here and was able to do that. But I think he's just expanded the scope of his game, and it's obvious, you know, and he's been a nice factor.
Has he changed his body type at all from?
Somewhat, yeah, somewhat. He is in the best shape he's ever been in, kind of trimmed a bit, still really, really strong. It wasn't a lot of weight difference, but he kind of shaped himself a little differently by the hard work he put in the offseason.
You tied the all-time winningest Seahawks regular season yesterday, so you're now kind of the winningest.
I thought we
coach.
did something like that a few weeks ago.
Well, that was playoffs, but now it's.
That included postseason.
Ah, there we go. See, I'm really tuned into these stats here.
Does that mean anything to you at all, or?
No. Not really.
That was the answer I got a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. It's good for the crew, you know, for the staff and all that, and you know, it's nice.
What's your evaluation of Quentin Jefferson so far?
He's had a good season for us. He's been active. He had a particularly good rush on the sack he participated in on a beautiful play. He's played really hard and played consistent, and he's been a good part of the defense.
The missed extra point that Sebastian did have, was that a snap hold sort of thing?
The second one, yeah. The second one was a snap it didn't handle as well as it needed to, and actually Michael put it down with the offhand, you know, when hand got in the way. And he just barely got the ball down, and so it wasn't the kick, it was really the hold on that one. One before was a kick.
What stands out about the season Bobby's having? I mean, he's done this for a long time now, but is there anything different about this
I
year?
think, you know, I really think it's extraordinary when guys continue to be really good, you know. And it's not that it has to be better than or you know, or have some other things happen that have never happened before, although it did. It's just that they continue to be great, you know. That's really the mark of a great competitor and a great player and performer and all that. That they not just show that once in a while they can. He's been so solidly consistent. I think it's the consistency to be at the top of his game is just remarkable.
He's talked before about the comfort he had with, you know, KJ hasn't been out there much this year, and when he had Sherman and Cam and Earl back there. Has he had more responsibility on him this year?
Yeah, certainly he has. His voice is you know, bigger than ever, and he's taken to it. He's, you know, embellished the role to become, you know, he's really the voice of our guys. Done a great job with handling that, and it really, you know, he doesn't look like he's, you know, all by himself. You know, he doesn't look all lonely and stuff because the other guys aren't there. He hasn't acted like that at all. He's been just very much a part of all of the newness that's there, and been a really great voice for the guys, and not just, you know, in the rah-rah type of stuff, but just how consistent he is and he performs, and we're able to hold him up to a standard. You know, the other guys say, you know, this is what it takes, and this is what you can expect. If you want to be a great player, it's going to look like this, and he's having a great year.
Anything else? Thank you.